All right, today we're going to put on our psychological detective hats. We're going to investigate a life that seems completely frozen in time, deconstructing the invisible architecture that can hold a person captive. And to do that, we have to start with a really big question. It's a question I think every single one of us has faced at some point. That feeling of being in a rut, wanting so badly to change, but you just keep running in place. So, what are the blueprints of that prison? For our investigation, we're going to look at the case of a man we'll call A. His story is a really powerful look into how a life can become this carefully constructed fortress against the world, built one brick at a time over decades.
So let's meet the man at the center of all this. Because on the surface, his life is just a masterclass in contradiction.
And you can see that gap right here. I mean, look at the left column. This is the life A says he wants, to be active, connected, engaged with the world. But then you look at the column on the right, his actual reality, it's the total opposite. Nocturnal, isolated. This isn't just a lifestyle, it's a very carefully maintained closed system. And here's the real kicker. A is incredibly competent. This is a guy who can navigate the absolute chaos of global financial markets, yet he actively runs away from the unpredictable world of human emotion. So how is this structure even maintained? Okay, to really understand how this whole fortress is built, we got to put on our cognitive behavioral hats. Let's look at the daily habits, the real bricks and mortar that keep this whole thing standing. So, this right here, this is the engine of his stasis. It's a simple but unbelievably powerful habit loop. It starts with a cue, like a pang of anxiety or loneliness. That triggers a routine, retreat into the screens, into the digital world. And the reward? The anxiety goes away, but just for a little while. And that is the trap, isn't it? Every single time he gets that little hit of short-term relief, he's just strengthening that neural pathway for avoidance. His brain is literally learning, hey, retreating works. And with every cycle, the prison walls just get thicker and stronger. But what's powering that loop? Well, it's these core beliefs, probably formed decades ago. They act like a filter for his reality, justifying his retreat. I mean, if you truly believe the world is dangerous and your only safety is in pulling back, then staying inside isn't lazy. It's the most logical thing in the world. So, we've seen the how, but every structure has a foundation. To really understand Ada's prison, we have to do a little digging. We've got to find the original wound. And this timeline is just staggering. A single catastrophic romantic rejection at age 26 became the psychological earthquake that shaped the next 30 years of his life. Everything that came after, the withdrawal, the isolation, it was all just an aftershock. And now, the recent death of his mother has forced this new, critical moment of reckoning. You see, this wasn't just heartbreak. In psychodynamic terms, this is called a narcissistic injury. It's a wound so deep it completely shatters your sense of value, your self-worth. And in response, the psyche does what it has to do to survive. It pulls all its energy inward, away from the dangerous outside world. Now, let's zoom in even closer, because inside AB's mind, there's a constant, silent war being waged between two really fundamental forces. This is the core conflict. On one side, you have Eros, the life drive. That's all those desires for health and connection we saw earlier. But on the other, you have Thanatos, the death drive, which is this powerful pull towards quiet, tension-free inertia. Oedipus's entire life is the stalemate in this epic battle. So how does his mind even manage this conflict? Well, it comes up with these compromises, like this one. A long-distance, unavailable partner is a kind of psychological masterwork. It provides a feeling of connection, which feeds Eros, but with zero risk of the rejection that wounded him so deeply. It's a brilliant, if tragic, solution that keeps him perfectly stuck. You can almost think of his mind as this totally dysfunctional committee. The id, with its primal desires for connection, got shut down by trauma. The ego, the manager, responded by just shrinking his entire world to avoid more pain. And all the while, the superego, the inner judge, reinforces the whole system with this constant feeling of failure. They're all locked in a paralyzing conflict. So, after all this analysis, is there a way out? I mean, how could someone possibly begin to dismantle a prison that they've spent 30 years building? And this is so crucial. Just trying harder is absolutely doomed to fail. The system is designed to defeat willpower. The only way out is to be smarter than the system, to strategically disrupt the loops and challenge the old beliefs.
The strategy starts with these tiny, almost symbolic acts, creating a ritual, a boundary between the screen world and rest, forcing a small engagement with the outside world. See, these aren't just new habits, they're little rebellions against the old order, and they start to create new pathways in the brain.
And this really shows the ultimate mental shift that's required. The money he's waiting on isn't an escape hatch to fund his retreat. It has to become capital for a new life, a fund to finance travel, learning, and re-engagement with the very world he's been hiding from. In the end, A's story is a really powerful mirror. It forces us to ask ourselves, what walls have we built? What loops are we caught in? And what small strategic act could we take today to begin building a life of freedom instead of a fortress of fear?